Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 86th episode of the HSBG podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins, and I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Collins. Excited for today's episode. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, generally. It's last episode of the year. We've got a special one for you guys. We're just going to be going through the year in review. We did this last year as well. Just covering, not as like, this one's a little bit different, but it's the same feeling. It's the last episode. We want to talk about, Hearthstone Battlegrounds as a whole for this year, just covering some of the important hits and maybe misses of this year. So it should be pretty cool, pretty fun. Um, we always, start out with our weekly overview. Doesn't change. How was your week?
Pretty chill. So we had holidays, of
Yep.
course. So very relaxed, just climbing on Asia, just getting to 10K. I'm almost there. Just having that ready for should I need to practice there next season. So yeah, very, very relaxed, just very laggy. Relaxed strategies, nothing I think I had like one or two Hogger games the whole week or so.
That was
What about
very
you, Colin?
low. I played more than one game this week, so success.
This is good. This is good.
But still revving up for the new season. Just kind of waiting, I guess, like mentally, at least mentally waiting, so that I can start really picking up speed. But generally, I've had a good week, relaxing, hanging out with friends. I would say Christmas week, they came over everything. You know how it goes. Things like so. Uh, First of all, topic of the hour or whatever, reflections about the year. So we're just gonna go over some of the big hits of this year, things that I wanted to talk about, like, oh, you remember this was this year, oh, this was this year, just like going over it. There's a lot of topics.
Feel old yet? Yes.
There's a lot of topics, so I don't want to like focus, have like a 20-minute rant on any particular topic, maybe like 5 minutes. That's like how much I want to be, like 5 minutes or under, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then we'll get through most things, but we could really just get started. First thing I want to talk about is, of course, start of the year. We had Lobby Legends announced. Da 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 woo, and back then a year ago we had no idea what it would end up being, how it'd be allocated, who would be participating, that kind of thing. But now that we've seen the whole thing, we've seen the year, we've talked a lot about Lobby Legends, even last podcast or a lot this month, right? Since the last one was last month, so we've kind of talked a lot about it. But overall, I think it's been a good experience. Definitely want more of it. Had a lot of fun. We both participated in the tournament. Like we both made it through the qualifier. So was a cool event. And, definitely love to have more of that. How was your thoughts on the whole
thing? I mean, it's been great, right?
Yeah.
Like from I need to get my daughter to my wife.
It's okay. All right, feel free. All right, so continuing on.
Just basically just shoving her out the door. It's all right. No, it was great, right? Like it's one of those things where you very easily can get accustomed to that, but just comparing the quality of just streaming arena and just playing for the heck of it, and then like having a leaderboard, or like back in the day, like this whole super scuffed Excel tracking through VODs. Like we did that, right? That's how much it was like, oh, let's do something. So then to just have this, not only do we track all your progress in real time on a leaderboard that's published where everyone can see, and there's a MMR system. Also, hey, we're gonna put some cash incentive there for you to do well. That is, like the cash aside, it brings out competition, right? Like people are now trying. Like you know they were trying. Whereas now, if you win, it's like, yeah, maybe they weren't trying, but they were trying. Like with all that money on the line, they were trying for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, amazing. super amazing.
For me, it's not cash aside. The cash is
Well,
very.
cash aside means it's nice, but even without the cash, so you're saying that without the cash, there's no upside for you.
Yes.
You don't care if you get
Yeah.
okay. So there's no okay. That's fair. There's no besides the cash. That's fair.
I'm just want to clear. There are some people who are cash aside. Sure, me, that's not the case.
All right, making it very clear. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, great thing to have. Hopefully, more of it next year. All right, next topic we've got is the Microsoft acquiring Blizzard. I think it's a big enough deal that we want to mention it. I want to say, didn't really feel it from my end. Like,
Well, has this already gone through?
I
Right?
don't know, but it was announced this year, and I was looking.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like there yet. I think it's like when Elon said he was going to buy Twitter, and then there's a whole like this whole time in between where they're figuring it out. So I'm not really sure if this is official yet. Well, I mean, it's probably official.
It's official, yeah, but
if committed, right? But
has anything in the business changed this week?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's changed hands yet.
Okay.
Right? I don't think
that's fair.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is entirely like no, it's been like that for a year. We just haven't seen anything. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is not.
But it was announced this year, so I want to.
Yes,
still going to mention it here. But you might be right.
Yeah, no.
Things haven't changed.
Could be some big changes ahead. Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Next up, we've got the Buddy meta. That was this year. Yeah. This year was the Buddy meta where it's past and gone.
That feels this year, though. That feels this year. That doesn't feel last year.
Well, I do want to mention like it was. I think it was like overall looking back, I think it was a fun meta for me. I mean, I was doing pretty well in the meta anyways, right? So this, but I did like some of the strategies that could be made with some of the heroes, and it also felt like heroes were more distinct in this meta. I think this was the meta where heroes were the most distinct, where you could really tell, oh, this hero is very, very different than that hero. Oh, this hero can only do this. This one strategy. No other hero can do what this hero does. That kind of thing. Especially like Vol'jin, right? Was like a big outlier of like, oh, you just make huge stat minions and there's nothing anyone else.
Vol'jin was roll chroma.
Yeah,
like if you don't have it at 7 gold, you just stay on 1. Like that's how good it was.
Just
stay on 1. Just hard commit.
And the things like Baroff, right? You go straight to 6. you hit your buddy straight to 6 because you just had 10 gold. You get 20 gold.
Yeah,
you just go.
I feel like Baroff was still more one of the flexible ones, where at least you power level, but your game plan isn't the same. There were heroes that did the same thing every time, right?
Right. Yeah. But I'm saying like only Baroff could do that.
Baroff broke the leveling barrier where you would routinely like double level on the very
go from 4 to 6 like
spend 9 gold, spend 10 gold, just be like no biggie, no worries, I'm good for it, right? This check's not gonna bounce. Just wee coin buff because like the hand space isn't an issue because it's not like you got more coins, your coins were more valuable. So that was the obscene part, that you could hoard coins at the start. Like if you had a few good bets, you could just hoard coins, then drop the buddy, and then every coin was worth 2 coins. That was ridiculous. So.
It was definitely crazy. There were a lot of heroes. There was like the bomb hero initially, where you just use the bomb and you're like, oh, I always tie.
That was a lot of weird stuff.
There was Illidan initially as well, right? Like the double immune with Terragosa. It's so
pretty much any good 2-star buddy, right, was nutty because they hadn't nerfed them yet. So you would just get them online super early. You'd win all your fights, and excuse me. All right, that's how you know this is live, guys. All right. So yeah, it was.
I wouldn't edit this if this wasn't live. I would let that in.
Let that in. Yeah. Essentially, I think the basic thing that comes to mind is the comparison buddies and quests. Would you like to do that now, or would you like to do it at the end?
Well, So it's almost chronological, to be fair. But if you want to
Sure.
talk about quests, feel
No,
free.
I think we can just like throw in the did you prefer buddies or quests, like the very easy
Uh
one. Like for me, it's quests. Like I think quests overall are a bit more elegant than buddies, where I definitely didn't mind the buddy meta, but it like we said, it did throw in some pretty forced play styles on certain
for me, I'm biased, right?
yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't
and
play the
you know my bias, right? So you know the answer.
I was
Uh
thinking if you could like move past the bias
no,
and say no.
my bias is what did I do better in? I
All
would
right.
say it was the buddies, so I prefer them.
Good memories of buddy games. Okay, no, that's totally fair. Yeah, more than that, it doesn't have to be. We don't have to do like a super in-depth discussion here.
Sounds good. But yeah, definitely an interesting part of
Oh,
2022, the buddy minute.
one thing though,
Uh,
buddy meter. That
yeah,
was
we
yeah,
we do
yeah.
have that in there as a topic.
Oh, it's in there. Awesome. All right. Yeah. Okay. Then I shall not rant just yet. Let us move on.
Alright. Alright. Next thing we're talking about, we had the start of like the round table. Unfortunately, we haven't continued like doing that. Like this would have been like a perfect time to have a round table, right? Like
Yeah.
end of the season. But like I didn't start this thing. It was kind of started by Victor. And it's hard to like keep up or like keep this consistent, you know, especially when there's like Lobby Legends, right? Like I think when Lobby Legends is going on, so many people want to just focus on that instead of like setting up a time to do the round table. But we did have a couple of them this year. They were definitely good fun. Always enjoyed participating in that. Hope we could do something of that function next year as well. But just want to mention, like I did enjoy them. They were pretty cool. At any time we got the opportunity to have a round. It was like 4 hour discussions on whatever
Yeah.
topic is actually.
I was about to say, in the context of Lobby Legends, people don't really have 4 hours to
Yeah,
burn a lot of the
yeah,
time. Where
I
they're like,
know.
this is too. Kind of want to just grind. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like times like this is like a perfect time when there's no lobby legend.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just relaxing a bit.
Next up, we do have buddies removed. Here you go. The buddy meter 2022 2022. It I do think this was a justified problem about buddies where the meter really dictated how you could play and what made sense. Right? Like you could really see everyone was doing the same things. A lot of people are staying on one because you needed the early um damage. It was you like leveling to 3 was like strictly banned because you were so
Yeah.
behind in terms of like your progression, and your buddy was like really dictating how you'd play it. So it was kind of a problem that buddies did constrain your playstyle into this really one dimensional um way of progressing the game. But the buddies were fun. I won't deny that there were some cool things you could do with buddies that really haven't been able to do so.
The frustrating part was the 99 percenter,
Also,
right?
divine
Where
shields procking like
yes, like that is the one where that just didn't make sense.
hmm I feel you.
Where you had like your 10 damage karma and it hits into a pop pot and you lose the game because of it.
Yeah.
Like that was so savage. Where yeah, that just that was not good.
I I definitely don't think they needed to make divine shields only proc for 1 damage. It was either 1 damage or even less than 1 damage, based on what I saw. But it was definitely not like good in terms of like if you hit a divine shield with your highest attack minion, you like the game's over for you. Like that didn't really make sense. Also, I did not like that 99% didn't like tick to 100. Like they just give them the 1%. Like just let them have that 100%. Like your calculations or whatever, just give them the bit. You know, yeah. I didn't like that at all. I think it would have been healthier. Uh, that was definitely a big problem about the buddy meta, and something if they were to add buddies back, I hope they can uh reevaluate and try to solve that issue. It led to too much frustration for the players, and that's just not healthy.
Yeah,
Regardless,
like just routinely throwing in like a huge setback because your minion attacked the wrong minion. Like, yeah, you can have that in a fight where you take more damage, and we're used to that. But then on top of that, just being like, oh, you're now just handicapped in terms of your strategy, where like, yeah, sure, you might have lower health total, but you also don't have access to this crucial mechanic,
yeah.
which you probably are planning your entire game around. Like if you're a Zephyrus, you have that mapped out. You want that buddy at that turn, and you want to hero power it, and you don't want to be a turn behind. And it's the same for pretty much every other hero. It's like Ticketus was the only one who was like, "Hey, whatever, I don't want to use it yet anyway."
Yeah.
Like every other hero was just like, "No." Ticketus was like, "Yeah, it's fine. I was gonna hold it anyway." So, yeah. So for those of you who don't remember, Ticketus used to get a prize from the next tier, so you definitely wanted to hold that until past turn 4. You didn't want to play that early anyway. Um, yeah. Anyways, that's the yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. I think it was a fun meta, but yeah, I did have a very frustrating mechanic from time to time.
Yeah, that was the big about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
moving on, we've
Yep. Yep.
got the reveal for Nagas. Yeah, so after Buddy Meta, then came the Naga Meta, and we also had a little reveal session. We had that little video that we made. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I remember that one.
And what's the best video in the game? Yeah.
It's
that's
elemental. Let's
that's
go.
right. So that was pretty fun for us, and it brought along the whole Naga meta, where Naga's post patch was a bit of a problem. I would say, just a little bit of an issue where Storm Scale Siren was too strong, right? That was maybe
Yeah.
the
It was really ridiculous. Did Atissa buff 4 Nagas as well at the start, or was it always
it
3?
was 4, I think.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah, that's very possible.
Yeah.
And
It was a
Orgo,
7-8 as well.
did Orgo have like 11 health or some shit as
No,
well?
no. I think Orgo's always been the same.
No, I mean, I feel like Orgo's stats, whatever.
Was Orgo's bigger?
I feel
We
like
can look it up.
Orgo
We can look it
was
up.
bigger. Um,
I don't
'Cause
remember Orgozoa having.
there were so many nerfs to Nagas where, let me see if there's a change log. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now has 7 health
Oh,
down
it was a
from 9.
5-9.
Was a 5-9.
It
So
was a
that thing
5-9.
actually like won you combats with its body as well. That's nasty, right? But yeah, yeah. So Nagas were just so brutal on release because we had tier 3 Storm Scale Siren as a 5/4, I believe. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's a good stat line for a 3 drop. Not like insane where you're like, oh my god, it's a 5/4, I gotta snap it, but that's not something that's gonna lose you a fight. Right? Whereas you play a sensei without a mech, that's like, ooh, right? This is like, okay, her without Nagas, it's fine. It's a 5/4, and I can roll into it. And if you had a shoal or just anything, it was just oof. So many so much tempo, just so yeah. So essentially the Naga patch was go stupid hard for a 6. Like we even saw lobby legends where God, was it XD or I can't remember who it was. No, it was Bofer, right? Bofer like went for the 6 drop on this mutinous and was so forced. It was so out of place, but like a top level player just being like, well, I gotta take a 6 or I'm dead. And yeah, it was such a insane meta where you had to push so hard for 6. Funny enough, I won a lot of games there, just like hard forcing poison scam because everyone was so busy APMing Nagas that they weren't ready for like, hey, here's a blaster, a selfless, a baron, and 4 poisons. Haha. Like it
JD
doesn't
was
matter.
that guy. Yeah.
I was that guy. Yeah. I was like, I remember doing that to Jeef, and then Jeef came in my chat to be like, bro, that's illegal. And it's like he started doing it a lot as well. He's like, this is broken. It's like, yeah, I know. Because like he had a way better board. It was like, it doesn't matter if you have poison. So yeah, that's when the poison scam was very like under the radar because everyone was like so
The
like, oh, Naga's
niche.
RP.
The niche
Yeah,
poison.
yeah. Like I was just like if I could get like an Atissa or a Sephin, I was like, Sephin's probably better because like everyone like with Nagas, they can still get better. They can still go bigger than you, right? If they're having a better Naga game. But so if you get like two Orgos, yeah, it'll be pop off, right? But just like an Atissa or a Sephin, I probably would have preferred a Sephin in that meta just because an Atissa on her own didn't really do anything, but a Sephin made that one poison per turn and really set you up. Anyways, a little bit of a side note.
No, perfectly fine. We're on track. We're on schedule. So we have extra time to burn if you want to like.
Yeah, no, all good, all good.
All right, but yeah, this was just the start of the meta where Nagas were a bit too strong. Fortunately, they toned it down. They removed Siren. They did say Siren was gonna come back in some form or fashion, and they completely forgot. By the way, I do remember they saying, "Oh, we'll try to see if we can make Siren work, come back later in the meta," but that's too much work or whatever. It's a hard card to. To be fair, like you could do something like it triggers once. It triggers one
We
random. We did.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot about the alternatives for
Yeah.
Siren because that was a.
That was where I was okay with it, where it would trigger one random Naga.
I think we talked a lot about like adjacent or the minion to the left or so, right?
Yeah,
Where you
yeah,
see.
maybe.
I think being able to aim it like the way how Murkai works, right? Maybe that'd be fine. Like we just have her work as a Murkai where you
As a
put it next to
Murkai.
Stalker. Yeah, whereas the golden one would be adjacent and the regular one would just do the left one.
Okay.
So you'd like put your Orgo first, put your Sire next to the Orgo. It's still really good, but you need an Orgo, and then like the other spellcrafts aren't as busted.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely things they could have done, but they didn't do
Yeah.
it, and I don't think they're going to come back and add it. Like I would be surprised, but it was an interesting meta. At least after they fixed it, like the initial one was definitely too strong, too dominant, and kind of overshadowed everything else. We did have the start of armor tiers, I think, this year, where I'm not 100% sure it was this year, but I think it was this year where they started adding armor tiers. Like it was during the buddy meta, right, where they started adding armor, due to Shutterwalk, right? Shutterwalk having that. Wait, was it this? I'm not actually 100% sure.
Armor happened earlier than this year, but the armor tiers have been relevant, right, due to the quests.
Maybe.
Let me actually again check.
Yeah,
It's good to double
this
check.
is the one thing I wasn't sure. I was like, was this year? Like, this is the one thing I'm not 100% sure. But I guess we could look it up. Why didn't I look it up already? I hear you. I hear you, chat.
That's all right. Uh,
Oh.
Yeah, November 21, apparently.
Okay, fine. November
Close enough.
21 is basically this year,
Basically.
Curfew.
Yeah, no, your point was that, maybe this is not like the actual reason, but it feels like armor and damage cap and all that stuff was like, oh hey, Shutterwalk is dealing 30 damage to people on turn 7. Maybe we should do something about that. Which is hilarious to see, the answer to be like, all right, we'll just make it so he can only do 50.
It was removed with buddies. That's right. It was removed with buddies, and then it came back afterwards. That's right.
Wait, so armor was gone during the buddy meta?
I believe so.
Huh. Yeah, now we're professionals, by the way.
It was initially gone. Like when they added buddies, they removed all armor.
Yes, that is true. And then you had someone like Lich like being a lot worse,
Well, yeah,
right?
and then armor came back. There we go.
That was a huge meta shift. Yes, now the pieces are falling together again. Yeah, no, that is indeed true. Where armor was gone for a little while. That was weird. Yeah.
Ha! Saved it. There's a reason it's a new.
I guess it just makes sense because they just made these many buddies and they're like, well,
They
it
weren't
doesn't make
sure.
sense.
Yeah, they weren't sure how it
Yeah,
was gonna interact too.
like they're essentially being like, well, we're just going to use this as a test server, like the first 2 weeks or whatever, however long it was. We're just going to use that to get data, and then we'll see what's overperforming, and then we'll give the other things armor, which is kind of funny. That normally you do that in a a PTR, right?
Yeah, but it's so hard to.
I
There's
know,
so
I know,
yeah, there's so many
I know.
things in battlegrounds that it's hard to have enough people to test things before it ships
Yeah,
to live.
no, but I mean, the way how TFT does it, right, is
Right.
they
There's
do
a
actually have a
PB, right?
PDR. Yeah, they have a PBE or whatever it's called. I call it PDR, public test realm. And it's yeah, it's the same thing where I would bet that you would get plenty of streamers to play on your test realm because hey, new content, and then by virtue of the streamers playing it, I think you get a decent number of players also trying. I don't really know. I'm sure that they've thought about this and there are good reasons why they're not doing it, right? But it's
Too
still a
much
little
work.
funky. It's still a little funky to be like, you know what? We're just gonna remove armor. We're just gonna let it be a shit show for a while, and then when we see what's too strong, we'll start adding armor back in. It's efficient, I get it, but it does feel a little, I guess, unprofessional. It's like, all right, mayhem for a while, and then we'll balance. It's fine.
True. But speaking of armor, like I do think armor overall has been a good addition to the game.
Yes.
In terms of like it does help heroes have some mechanics of like, ooh, this hero isn't like that strong, but at least you have some reason to pick it besides like the hero power is worse than the I'll never pick in this situation. Now you have armor is like, this hero is better, but this one has significantly more armor and I might want the armor more. And the hero power isn't like that horrible, so maybe I could still do something in the mid or early game to make it relevant. I do think it's been a good addition overall. Do you want more armor? Like, do you want 15 armor heroes, or is that like, or do you think 10 is like a good sweet spot of like the max you could give a hero?
Once again, I'm sure that they've tried
They've tried it.
some stuff. It does feel like some heroes, like it's gonna depend, right? I think in the quest meta, no. I think there's plenty of 10 armor heroes in the quest meta where you're like, that's pretty good. Like Mukla is almost max tier, if not max
Yeah,
tier.
yeah, I know that one. I think is so weird to
That's
me.
a good
Like,
example, right? Like Graybow's another one where it's like almost max tier on Graybow is also just ridiculous. It's because great heroes for me, right? So anyway.
yeah,
The I guess the answer is outside of the quest meta, if there is no other benefit than the extra health, I'm definitely willing to try to go up to 15 and just see what happens.
right,
Because there were still plenty of things with turn armor you didn't really want to touch
right,
back when quests were in a thing. So
right.
yeah, I feel like they've sort of followed that philosophy. It's like, well, let's just really buff it and see what happens. We've seen that with some cards. We've seen that with some heroes. And the best example comes back time and time again. It was like
Pyramid.
Pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right? Because Pyramid is such a ridiculous buff, and he wasn't like Omega broken. Obviously, he was very strong, but without any significant real nerfs afterwards, like it was just kind of balanced out, and it was just
Yeah.
one of the better. Yeah, like one of the better heroes. And then after a while, it was just like, oh, now nobody really talks about Pyramid anymore. It's like, yeah, it's Pyramid, whatever.
Yeah, it's so crazy actually when you talk about pyramid and it's a life cycle of the buff system where you buff it initially, you're thinking this is like crazy, like what zero power targeted, you it scales from the beginning, and if you do
Exactly.
nothing, it scales even more. It's like that's so many buffs to like this card, this hero is gonna be insane,
Which,
and
yeah,
initially it kind of was. Initially, I was like, oh, this hero is like doing very, very well. But no changes. It got absolutely no like adjustments. And slowly it's like falling into line. Like, oh, it's now it's just good. Then it's like, oh, it's okay. Like, what? This hero is now okay. Um, and then with the quest meta, like it was like below average even, right? Because they had no armor. And
So I like playing Pyramid,
mhm.
where I almost religiously go 3-on-3, or I do some like
well,
cool stuff
well, it
with
has armor
Trickster.
now, doesn't it?
No, no, zero armor still.
It's still zero armor. Oh,
Yep, yep, yep. The but I will say the perception of Pyramid is that it's not a great hero in the quest meta. I definitely have some people sometimes asking me in the chat, like, Jesus, why does Pyramid still not have any armor? And I'm just like, I do really well with Pyramid. Like my last game, I did something as silly as I bought an arm and I taunted it, and then just because you're Pyramid, you can pump that thing, and it's actually really good. And there's plenty of interactions like that where turns out if you could put a lot of health on something, it's like Parasol, right? Like if you have a Parasol, a lot of units suddenly become a lot better. So there's absolutely a place for Pyramids. But I do think that you need to be comfortable playing the hero and understanding like how to use the hero power. So I think if you're
you have to know the hero. That's when the hero becomes frustrating. You have to understand the hero to play it well. I want a
yeah,
hero where you can brain off, play it, and it's still like fantastic.
well, I think the issue that some people have with Pyramid is they treat the hero power like it's some kind of late game engine,
Uh
and like it's just tempo. It's just there so that you don't lose fights, and you could potentially buff a trickster, or you could
yeah.
potentially buff like a high value target. It's great to put Leroy's out of range of blaster late game, super useful for that. So my kind of hero.
The,
But yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I, the problem with treating Pyramid's hero power as a late game engine is when you look at it objectively and you say, all right, my late game bomb is I give 6 health to it. like that's what I do in a turn as my late game hero power. I give 6 health, right? And then the opponent has like Bran, and they're like, oh, I bought a 2/6 and I gave 12. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not a
Yeah.
bomb where some late game hero powers are bombs like Gallywix, right? Like I added 13 gold for to your situation, or I removed all their divine shields. In some metas, like that's really really powerful. Or I gave divine shield Wind Fury, to my cleave. Like that's a bomb. That can win you a fight right there.
Mhm.
Where adding 6 health as for a turn is not relevant. So you can't look at it as this is my bomb. This is my uh big power spike in the late game. It definitely works as a early mid game
I
bomb.
I think that in some way you can just interpret Pyramid's hero power text as in get away with going 3-on-3. That's the text. You get away with going 3-on-3
Yeah.
because you stabilize a lot faster. Like sometimes you win your very first fight on 3, right? Whereas normally you always lose that one, and you almost guaranteed win your next fight. Yeah. Anyways, Pyramid. So fun little detour, but just where it started here is to explain that Blizzard seems to have gone to this approach of just let's just take the huge buff cannon. It's no longer a gun, it's just a cannon, and let's just fire everything we got at the thing that people aren't playing, and then see if they're gonna play it. And if we overdid it, we'll dial it back a bit. And it's cool to see that they threw all that at Pyramid, and they're like, all right, let's see how it pans out. Okay, we don't gotta nerf it. It's great. It's like
I,
so
I
yeah,
I love it. You said let's get back on from this tangent, and what you went back to is the tangent because we're supposed to be talking about armor. like
Yeah. No, I just peeled us back one layer,
one,
right? So
one
we
tangent
were
layer.
down in the Pyramid layer, then I took us to the buff layer, which we were there, and then you can take us back to the original.
The real tangent is we're talking about armor and how I think
We
armor has been
were
good.
all right. Now
Uh,
we're done talking about armor. We
yeah.
were talking about armor.
And to be fair, armor was introduced like November, 2021. So like I would say we've really dived into armor this year, where it's been like a staple of the gameplay. And I would say overall like armor's been good. Definitely wouldn't remove it. Would just like keep it. It buffs the lower heroes. I would kind of be okay with more armor on like small amounts of heroes. Like we kind of have patchwork as the example, and I wouldn't say patchwork is like, oh, patchwork is crazy strong or really good. or anything like that, right? Like, it definitely feels weird to have more armor on heroes and then have Patrick as well, right? Because Patrick needs to be like the outlier of armor, where it needs to have significantly more armor than everything else, or it's just like weird, like, oh, Patrick's ability is it has 5 more armor than the next the next lowest armor hero. Like, it's like, what? I mean, that's not an ability. In a lot of cases, like 10 armor, is like maybe arguable. 15, that's definitely an ability for sure. So
Yeah.
that's the one outlier of like giving things even more armor is like, what do you do with Patrick, where like the lowest armor thing or the highest armor has like 45 armor, and then Patrick has like 50 or 55. Like, it's not a hero power. So but right now, like, it's in an okay place. But I would just say, like, armor is good. Wouldn't mind seeing more experimentation with it, but right now it's in an okay place.
It's yeah, I mean it's hard to say, of course,
Right.
because things are going to change a lot, assuming quests are rotating out, which
Right.
I think we have all reason to assume so. But yeah, I can't really echo that statement enough. Where I really love that the evolution the game has seen, because we might really, I'm playing a free to play account in the top 16 in Europe.
Right.
At some point, the rank 1, I believe Baboga rank 1 was free to play. That would be unimaginable.
Impossible, yeah.
Like
But
before armor, but definitely, before quests. But armor helps a little bit there. So that's just to say, like, how far we've come, because there was absolutely many, many times where you would look at your heroes and be like, oh, unplayable garbage. This is gonna be a shit game. I'm gonna have to like go hardcore on tier 4, or I'm gonna have to play obscenely risky to get anything going here. And yeah, I think the fewer games that you can get like that, the better.
mm,
So yeah, their system of essentially the way how we look at that is they're adding extra buttons to push.
levers,
They're
yeah.
asking, yeah, levers to pull, buttons to push, where they say, okay, so we have a hero and they have a hero power, and we can buff that or nerf that. But aside from buffing or nerfing the hero power, we can also address their armor tier. And now with quests, armor tiers are more relevant than just the health. So it's interesting to see if in the in the future, I was going to say the Dutch word future, I don't know why, in the future they're going to maybe add more of those levers, where they're
Right.
like, okay, well, we've had quests, we've got armor, let's see what else we can do to really, adjust heroes. Because if you can only change the hero power, changing a 1 into a 2, like, you can't really go to 0.5, right? So it's like 1 or 2, and we've seen that with Guff, completely broken at +3/2, or what was it? Originally it was 2 and 1,
2-1,
right?
yeah.
But for 1 mana,
Yeah, and it
right?
was
And
also
then they,
broken.
yeah, bro, completely broken.
Yeah.
They changed it to 1/1. Nobody played that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so that's a good example of like, well, we can't really give you a 1.5 attack here, right? So like, it's got to be 1 or 2. So yeah, adding extra lever is absolutely good.
Now, hear me out. Everything has times 100. Huh? So you start with 400, or what's the
Mhm.
3,000 health, yeah. And you take, instead of
All
taking
right.
1 damage, you take 200 damage, but you have 3,000 health. Now you can turn the levers. Now you can deal 50%. You can deal 10 damage. You can deal 50 damage. There you go. Now, instead of giving something +2 +1, you're giving something +200 +1. Now you can add the 50%. It's very
That's
seamless.
essentially WoW at one point, where they just have kept increasing the numbers and the levels, and yeah, they've scaled that back. So I don't think that's good.
All right.
I don't think it
So
gets
maybe
better.
100 is too much. What about 10? Huh? Now
I'd
it's
say I'd say we go next topic here. 'Cause we've gone into Pyramid and
all
then all
right,
kinds of
fair
other
enough,
shit.
fair enough, fair
And
enough.
poor armor is just like, why are you guys not talking about me?
All right, next
Uh,
topic we have Ty's Tavern. Our discussion, that whole saga. It's a saga, really, where we had the qualifier, This was supposed to be a mostly EU event, but two people dropped out. Some NA players got in. I was one of them, fortunately, and we made it to the top 8, and definitely had a good time, had a good moment. Also, part of TwitchCon. I didn't have like a whole TwitchCon um, event. Like I felt like it was all kind of. Well, I do have a TwitchCon event actually. I do have a TwitchCon, but it's more about being sick and the whole TwitchCon
Yeah,
experience, which I think was its own topic. But just generally, like this event opening up a lot of doors for like us to meet and hanging out and going to Europe. At least for me, this was a whole thing. So
yeah, big
I
trip.
I definitely like think this was like maybe one of the more memorable events, one of the more memorable moments of the year where I'm definitely not gonna forget. Traveling, going or playing in a tournament with Shady, competing, that kind of definitely a big moment for Hearthstone in general. There's not really been a lot of lands for Battlegrounds. I would say there was some DreamHack I think had one, but it wasn't like super popular. So there wasn't too many competitors. This was like the big one where it was for TwitchCon, and a lot of great BG players were there. Really got to see them and meet them, and really had a really good time. So just really fortunate, I guess, to be picked, to be invited to play it and to make it there, right? We all know how hard it is to really make it to the top level of BG. Like, there's so many good competitors, so just making it there like was already a success, and then you got to compete and do well, and really had like a wonderful time. I would say also had a great. What's your experience? Let me. I've talked to them.
Oh, no, that's all fine. Well, for the both of us to qualify, yeah, that was still like, I can't believe it,
Yeah,
man.
I
Yes,
know. I know.
yes, yes, right. That was such a like fist pump moment where that was wonderful, especially because I remember for me, like I was just not in a good state for the first day, like really tired and blah blah blah. And it was like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna go and I have these very low expectations, and I like barely, barely make it to day two, and then I get some sleep for day two. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm playing a lot better. And yeah, that was just yeah, very I remember just feeling great. Like that evening of the qualifier after it was all over. That yeah, that felt amazing. And yeah, I mean after that it just got better, right? Like we've known each other for God, I like I want to say like 7, 8 years or some
it's
shit.
it's like 8 plus.
Yeah, it's a
It's
long
it's
time,
a long time. Yeah.
and we hadn't met in real life yet. So there were definitely some plans. So I'm married, and Collins was going to be my best man, but then COVID happened.
Right.
So originally he was going to fly out way way earlier, and we would have met then. Um, But yeah, so we hadn't met yet. So this yeah, this is obviously by far the most memorable event that's going to be in the list. It was super fun, and not just um, like meeting Collins, but also just meeting a ton of the other competitors that I have never met before. Like some of them I'd maybe like talk to like privately or whatever, but like just seeing everyone, it was so fun. And then playing the tournament was a lot of fun, even though like, my result wasn't amazing. Had a really bad last game. After that, it's just like, all right, well, let's go have some drinks and let's go have some dinner and let's go sing some karaoke or whatever. So it was cool that it was game time, but then after that, it was also just relaxing and getting to know everyone and just having a great time.
it,
And
it's
yeah,
it's so hard to tell you how much of a difference it is compared to like the standard BG tournament experience. Like how much of a difference being able to play in land, see the players, talk to the players afterwards,
Mm,
just like
yeah.
have a whole moment together where you're like we're competing, we're opponents, but we're also BG brothers or so, and just like talk and experience it and go hang out, have a drink, whatever, have a good time afterwards. Like that's so different than standard BG tournament where you play, you either do well and you're okay, or you do horrible and you're wailing, you're sad, for the rest of the day. You don't get that really because you immediately go out and talk to people afterwards. You congratulate the people that did well and all that. So it's just such a difference, and I really hope there's more of those kind of
Mm,
experiences because like it's
absolutely.
so rare and it's such a cool thing to have.
That's something that I really wanted to say, and now I lost it. Oh, that
I'm so
happens.
sorry.
It'll come
This
back.
is why you interrupt me whenever, Shane.
Oh, no, 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 no. That's more me, I guess, being a little tired. So, um, yeah, the land thing, the it like you started off that segment by saying that it's hard to say just how different it is, and I would echo that because just sitting at a computer that's not yours, right? Keyboard and mouse that are not yours. Keyboard a little less for BGs, but still, that like you feel different. Like when you're playing, like you definitely feel different. Like when you're sitting at home and you're playing in this like super high level lobby. So talking Lobby Legends qualifier now most of the time, yeah, okay, that hits a little different than ladder, but you're still there. It's your chair, it's your
Right.
PC. There's no one else there. You probably have your chat closed. You're on half an hour delay anyway. So it's just you. You're just playing, and you don't even see the names of the people you're playing against because it's
Right.
all streamer mode.
Right.
So you're just playing, right? But I distinctly remember like sitting across from Zorgo, like sideways, so we could lock eyes, and then like something happens in the fight where he gets lucky, and then I look at him, he looks at me because like he knows, like, yeah, sniped your shit. Like that's so cool that you can do that, right? Like just imagine like you snipe someone's Baron and then you look over like, yeah, that was pretty like
Yeah.
like that's yeah. So yeah, I can only echo the statement that it was super, super cool. I'd love to have more of it. And I will say that there is a good probability that it'll be DreamHack at least this year, and then maybe we can make something happen for that one. If they're gonna have another LAN, and if not, maybe Tice feels like a repeat. That would
Please
uh, hopefully that was successful.
bring,
For
bring
their metrics.
invite the
Yeah,
same people.
if I say people, yeah, just same top eight,
Yeah,
as well. All right.
just the
Anyways, yeah.
minimum. You gotta add the top eight, and then you can add. You start there, and then you build from there.
I think it's hard to yeah, just overstate how much fun this was, and I want more of this. But I guess people get the point. It was a very fun experience, and more excuses to meet IRL will be super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like going straight to the vlog. Uh, I didn't have. This is like 5 topics down, but I'm gonna say there was a tavern vlog
Oh,
recap
sure.
that I did make. Just like going over the event and like meeting everyone and all that stuff. And I do think it was like if you haven't seen the tournament or you just want to see how it felt, definitely a cool video to watch. It's a couple minutes long, like 3 or 4 minutes on the YouTube. So I do think it was pretty fun, pretty cool, and you just kind of get to see everything. Really, really like the moment where you won, and I rush over, like this is good stuff in there. Uh, but yeah, other than that, next thing I did want to talk about apart from that was the lag. Right, there was this lag issue that happened. This lag incident, some would call it, yeah, where there was a I think this was during the Naga meta. There was something with the spellcraft that was really just causing everything to lag, and it was apparently hard to fix. It wasn't like an easy like I push a button and it's they had to do other things. They had to speed up things, but I distinctly remember like just like being frustrated. It's like, oh my god, I can't play anything. Well, I wasn't like a big APM person, but I like watching other people play APM. Oh my god, it was not fun. I was like reeling in pain every time. And obviously I had some moments where I did play that and it was just like not great. And Nagas I played a lot, right? And Nagas had the same issue, where things it was basically APM if you had a good Naga setup. So just like not good. And um, I remember it just lasting a long time. Like we had to put it in the podcast. It was just too long. Did not like that experience. Hopefully, they learned from it, try to improve situations, make sure things aren't like this.
The like I was thinking like, yeah, I'll play in Asia right now, and it's probably similar, but
It wasn't.
yeah, I distinctly remember skipping Golden Brand because there was no point. On Asia, yeah, you're not finishing your turns with a Golden Brand, but there's still a point to it,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, it was so savage. It just took so long for everything to resolve that, like, let's say you had a Golden Brand and you played a Refreshing Anomaly, dear God, that's so much like time where
Yeah.
the triple animation of the thing and then super jank and then you have the classic memory leak adding on top of that, so everything gets even slower as you're playing more cards. So that was not enjoyable and a little crazy that that did indeed last as long as it did, but once again, as you said, it was probably not an easy issue to fix, and it's not like they want the game to be worse.
No, no.
Exactly right. Because that I think that's like one of the like low resolution comments people would have,
Right,
like, "Oh my
right.
god, why are you making your game bad? Just fix it, lol." Right? So yeah. All right. Well, glad it's over. Hope it never happens
Yes.
again. Yeah, just thinking about that, skipping a Golden Brand because it literally didn't matter. It's, like maybe you can like buy two Smoggers, right? And be like, but playing Tavern Tempests, playing Primal Fins, no time for that. Doesn't matter. Like literally just no time for that. And that's very sad. Like if you could like just make a gold by playing a Tavern Tempest, maybe even more, right? But then you're like, oh, I got to reroll and sell these. Wait, so now I have to like sell two minions first, put these two on the board, then roll for free, and then still manage to make an actual board before the time's up? No way. I'm not.
No.
I'm not even trying that. I'm not even going close to that. Whereas that's one of the most fun things to do in APM is like you switch your board out, buff, and at the end of the turn, like, woo, I did it, right? And yeah, there was no woo at the end of any turn during the lag. That was a lot of frustration. Like, I could have been so much bigger.
Did not like this part of the game. When definitely glad that they fixed that, and it's been fixed since, right? Like I really haven't had a lot of people commenting about lag or anything like that. Obviously, there's still like bugs and whatnot, but like lag isn't like, oh my god, the lag.
No.
Unless you're playing in other regions, then yeah, like of course, right?
Yeah, but that's
It's still better.
absolutely. No, I just want to say, like, you sort of choose that, right? Like, if you want to play on a different region, because if I play on the EU, it's still fairly smooth. I think it's also in terms of your machine. Like, if your machine is really good, you do get better performance, which
Yeah,
is still, I guess in a way, pay to win. If you get a really good computer, your game goes faster. But I think one of the things that I've really gotten better at is just understanding how little difference it makes to be able to go like crazy on the hoggers or to be like super super fucking big, like it's more just really solid decision making that makes the difference,
yeah.
right?
Usually, for me, there's just like one key turn where I gotta play that one key turn correctly.
Yeah,
And if I play that one key turn correctly, I could like mess up the rest of it. It doesn't really matter because you played that one key turn where you needed to like switch or transition
yeah,
or find the comp that you played it well, and then the rest of the turn like you can kind of chill or you don't have to play optimally anymore because the
yeah,
the
and
hard
yeah.
part is over.
What you mean by not playing optimal is you're still making optimal decisions game plan wise, but it's like, oh, I missed the stat
Yeah,
here, or I could have played this extra minion this turn, but it's
Yeah.
still in my
I
hand because it
wasted a
was a little
gold,
too
like who
slow.
cares? Like
Yeah, you can do that as long as you're making good overall decisions of okay, this is the comp I'm trying to go towards. That was a minion I really needed to buy here. Those kind of things. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
all right. Next up we've got the the casting for Lobby Legends. So I did get invited to cast for Lobby Legends. Now I thought this was like impossible because um you 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 had to be announced before the Lobby Legends month started essentially. So you basically had to tell yourself, I'm not going to compete in this Lobby Legends, and I did not do that, except for like the last, like the last month or so. But like pretty much the first like 9 months or so, I pretty much was trying to make Lobby Legends every time. But fortunately for me, the caster that was supposed to cast like dropped out, right? So they needed a replacement. They asked me, okay, sure. Um,
You were down.
Little known fact, I was like actually busy that week. It's like,
Yeah. This was not public knowledge
no,
either, I believe, right?
no.
You gotta say, do you want to throw that out there? But, yeah, okay.
But I was like, no, this I can't miss this opportunity. So I would just do do it anyways.
I think that is honestly that's a good characteristic, right? Because it's so easy to say, "Oh, I'll be on the road. I can't do this," or just be like, "All right, we're doing this. So what do I need to do? What do I need to do to make it happen?" And I mean, it's not the craziest thing ever, right? But you do need to say, "All right, well, this is I can't screw this up, right?
Oh man,
Gotta make it happen, yeah."
I forgot my mic. I left. I was like, oh my
You screwed
god.
up, man.
I was like, can I be so dumb that I left my mic? I come back home and I'm like, oh, there's the mic. So I had to, I had to go buy a different mic just for this, and I still have it here. It's just like lying on the ground now. It's like, oh well, there you go. Just a memory of a mistake.
Well, again, right? Like, made it happen, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess so, but definitely a weird moment. But it was definitely a good time, definitely fun. I definitely enjoyed it and definitely love casting. Um, if it's something I could do consistently, like I probably would, right? I think it's definitely a cool thing to do whenever you can do it. Casting and talking about the game in a high level. So I definitely had a lot of fun with that one. All right. Next topic we do have. So this is like the cookie chemist chroma wing. This is showing the removal,
the
but
cookie chemist arc.
yeah, but there was a cookie chemist meta where
Yep.
chroma ring was in the game, cookie chemist in the game, and they
Mm.
didn't really figure out. No, this is what everyone's gonna do after 2 days.
I mean, I'm sure like you can't design this and then at the same time also be oblivious to this. I feel like they just thought
it
it
wasn't gonna
won't.
be so prevalent.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good with poisons in the game. I think they thought about that, but maybe they missed the fact that it doesn't really matter. Like if I win all my fights early, I'm just gonna go to 6-7 the game anyway. I can
And
talk.
poison's only in half of the games as well, right? So
Yeah, that is true. I mean, it's stupid, right? You should not, under any condition, be able to make a 2,000 health minion that early. and we say 2,000, like that's the norm. Like you have 200 health
it's
early
still
is
too
stupid.
much. Yeah.
It wins everything. 200 health. Your opponent literally has like 5 health, 6 health, 7, and you're like 200. My one minion beats your whole board. Lol. All right. So again, small little recap for people that like, wait, what the hell are they talking about? Cookie chemist card that switches the attack and the health,
Mhm.
rotated out. Chroma wing, a card that doubles its attack every time you tear it. Changed since then. Essentially, what would you do? Make a very high attack Chroma Wing, level, get like 400 or
It,
200 attack,
it
switch it with the Cookie Chemist, and suddenly you have a 200 or 400 health minion in the mid game, which, shouldn't be possible.
it's funny. Both of those cards are changed or gone now. Like both of them. The- they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, they nerfed the chroma,
uh,
right? And then Cookie was like, okay, let's just rotate Cookie out.
uh, and
Yeah,
I do agree with it because they were both problematic in some way, right? Like I had more of an issue with the cookie, but Chroma was what got changed first because I think they wanted to keep Cookie in for a while, but
yeah.
then they
But then
realized,
there was
yeah,
the gem abuse
yeah,
with Cookie was also really strong. I will say I remember when this was announced, and I believe that John was, I believe John's the lead designer. I'm not sure.
yeah, yeah. John, yeah, it's the lead.
He was in the chat at the same time when I was reviewing this, and I'm just like, "Oh, you guys are rotating Chroma Wing out, right?" And he gave me like a monk ass. Because I looked at Cookie and that was my instincts, like, "Oh, you guys are removing Chroma then, obviously, right?" Like, I hadn't even seen a single game. It was just like, "Oh, I mean, this goes without saying. Come on, guys." And then I think it was Jeef who was like I guess the biggest streamer at the time who was just like religiously forcing this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, he
I
was.
yeah, what I usually do is so the patch comes out around this time, right? Like so I don't play around this time. I go to bed and then in the morning I play. So what I do is it is like a huge patch. I'll have some cardio in the morning or whatever, and then I'll just take my phone and we'll just watch some games, see what people are doing. Well, this, and I'm just seeing Jeef his match history is like chroma wing, chroma wing, chroma wing. It's like literally forcing it every time dragons are in. And I'm like, all right, I know what to do today. Because I'm also seeing like first, 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 first. Because it was broken. It was super broken. So yeah, the game was for a fairly short period of time, I will say, obviously did nerf it. The game was literally just dragons are in. Okay, we are donkey rolling for chroma
Yeah.
wing because you just made a golden one while you were still on tier one. That's what
Mhm,
people did, right?
mhm.
Like discovery, take a two drop. I don't give a shit, right? And then you have a golden one, and then from tier one, then you get like gems on it or something, and then you start leveling, and then it's like, oh yeah, so I'm just like giga big chroma wing. Yeah, super busted, super broken.
Yeah, you've brought it all back. Yeah, definitely a weird card. Steward of Time has been added to the pool. I remember that. That card never really mattered in any circumstances.
Yeah, there were some so very specific, and you don't give a shit. But Kurt, you could do some really good stuff with Kurt because
What is
Kurt
a
buys the whole
card?
shop, right?
What is
Yeah,
a
what's
card?
a Kurt? Like Kurt's not great right now with the emphasis on tier six. Kurt's not gonna go into six, but in like high tempo metas, like we had before the seafood chef, like Kurt's great.
All right. Next thing we have to talk about is just during the Lobby Legends, there are some people that really didn't like um, the I guess the how Lobby Legends players would decide where it's top 16 and you play the qualifier and then boom. And if you don't make
Yeah,
top 16, you never get in. If you don't make the qualifier, you never get in. And there are some people who are like, oh, I don't like it. Give some advice to streamers, let other people know they don't. And it was like it's not popularized or it's not being spread. There's no um what's it called? The word I'm talking about.
no interest, not enough
No,
interest,
no,
not
no,
enough.
no, no. There's no promotion, I guess, for
Oh
uh
right, yeah. Well, I guess lack of interest due to lack of
yeah,
promotion.
yeah.
I guess
Uh,
awareness would be a better way of saying
yeah,
it, right? People are just not even aware that it's going on,
yeah, yeah.
or
Who
when
who
it's going
won? Who won the last lobby? Let's just know. No one knows that kind of thing. And there was definitely some discussion about that, and I do think like while I don't necessarily agree with changing the format or giving invites to streamers, I do agree with like the interest and the promotion aspect could definitely be
on.
improved. So
Man, if Crip wants to play in Lobby Legends, I'm down, right? Just throw Crip in
true,
there.
true. I think
Like,
there are some exceptions where
if
like
if he wants, like that's a manly thing to do, to just be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll play against these guys. How bad can it be? Like if he wants to do that, I'm all for that. Go for it. Yeah. But
fair
I
enough.
mean, in all seriousness, I think it'd be nice to just have that parallel to it because I see what she's saying, and it's absolutely it's just fun to watch your streamer compete. So Invitational, absolutely. So I would not even mind if they maybe do like 1 month invitational, 1 month lobby legends, right? Where it's like instead of aiming for 10 or whatever, you just go like 6 and 6 or 5 and 5 if you need like 2 months off. And then you have a bit more of a spread where on one hand you have like the real pro players who are just there at the merit of their skill 100% through the qualifier and stuff. And on the other hand, you have a little bit more just entertaining, still very high level play, of course, but people with a following just get a little bit more. Um, I suppose the numbers up, right? Because the views have not been amazing. I feel like, but that's just the Hearthstone thing. Overall, I think the views are just down because I seem to remember that on the first Lobby Legends or so, there was like this positive, well, like, oh yeah, the views have been great.
Yeah.
But I think that's just partially with like the moving to YouTube stuff and maybe losing a little bit of the traction of the, well, because I mean the it's on Play Hearthstone, right? Battlegrounds,
Yeah.
the tournaments, and I think that if the Play Hearthstone, like if all the competitive play was on Twitch instead of on YouTube, and then like Battlegrounds gets thrown in, you probably have a little bit more overlap of people who
Yeah.
are used to watching the
I-
competitive standard and be like, oh, BG's is on, I guess I'll give that a try.
I'm
So
pretty sure that the YouTube deal is finished
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So now next year they have freedom to where they want.
So who knows? Maybe that
Maybe that
that
helps.
crossover, yeah, that could definitely help. People are used to watching on Twitch, then you know. Which is, anyways, yeah. So I guess my take on it hasn't really changed since before. I like having Lobby Legends, and I somewhat like the system. I think we talked about improvements, especially given how little the qualifiers, like even people who are really, really, really into battlegrounds, they don't know who qualified.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know who qualified unless I'm playing in a qualifier because then I'm in the Discord and I can literally just go check all the channels. But if I'm not playing, I'm like, I don't know who qualified, chat. I guess I'll check Twitter. Maybe there's some tweets. Maybe there's some people who say, "Hey, I qualified."
Yeah, it's
But
definitely weird. Yeah, I agree with you. It's
that is
definitely weird.
yeah, that's just unacceptable, right? There needs to be at least, at the very least, a website, right? It was like who in real time people update like, hey, these players are going to be playing, these players are in the qualifier is happening at this time. I think the qualifier, like it happening at a certain time is announced, right? On the
Yeah,
Play
I think
Hearthstone.
so.
But other than that, there's nothing, right?
On the
So
Play Hearthstone, it will tell you what the finals are, but it won't tell you who made the qualifiers. So
yeah,
it will show you, oh, these people made the finals.
because
It doesn't.
they're like essentially the qualifiers, there's no prize pool for them, so people are still very, very happy to play in them because there's a prize pool at the end of the tunnel, right? Like if you make it through the qualifiers. But it feels to me like that's just waste of content where
Mm,
let's broadcast that shit as well. I'm sure, like there's plenty of community resources out there as well, where people that are more than happy to cast and all that. But I do get, if it's a Blizzard production, then it's got to be professional, and they got to make sure everything's good, and then it's going to cost money, right? Because they
right.
need to do it right. But yeah, it's still, it feels so off that the qualifiers are just there and then they're gone, and there's essentially, it's this step in between that unless you're in the tournament you don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think that is pretty sad. Where you're missing a huge chunk of like a lot. Most players that make it to the qualifiers stay in the. They're gonna just do the qualifiers, right? Because you're knocking out
Exactly.
3/4 of the players, right?
Yeah,
But you
three
want to
quarters.
make them feel like, oh, they did something. They participated in the event, and when you have no spotlight on it at all, it just feels like you got kicked. You play 3 games, you lost, you got kicked. Get out, move on. Next, hope you make it next month. That kind of thing. But if you had like, oh, this player is in a tournament, or is there's some discussion about, oh, this guy makes it very consistently, or this guy's doing really well, or this guy just broke in, he's never been in there before, we hope he can showcase his skills, then they can watch back, go and feel like kind of good, like, oh, I participated here, instead of like being under the radar. Oh, made it or not, and then you get the spotlight shown. Definitely hope they do something about that for you know having the
Yeah,
same format.
I hope so. I did also say that it essentially feels like let's just take a test drive this
Mm.
year. Let's just make sure we get to our top 16 and then we'll handle that tournament. And maybe next year we'll figure it out the rest. Anyways, I just noticed, do we have friend of a friend in these slides or not?
No, I didn't put that in, but I was
Uh,
thinking it's already long, but you want me to? I can definitely find friend of a
well, we can just bring it up that there was this. I don't even know how long it was, a week, 2 weeks max, right? Of this crazy, crazy meta where maybe it was even just a few days. I don't know, but friend of a friend was this was during the buddy meta, and its battle cry was discover a buddy.
Someone
So
that told you like it was gonna be this way. Ta, 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 ta.
you
It's a
would have
joke, a
these.
joke. Love my
You're okay,
single.
Colin.
Oh yeah, I mean check this thing out.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. I see, I see. Yes, very clever. So the meta was super crazy because essentially you would just donkey roll for Brand, donkey roll for friend of a friend because it was a battle cry. So Brand would double it, and then you would just go infinite, where you would get like the Zephyr's buddy to make a copy of a friend of a friend, and yeah, you would get like Ticketus, and then you get the bounce, you put the friend back in the hands, and yeah, all kinds of shenanigans. So once you got like you could brick, right? Like you could play Brand, you could play friend of a friend and get two misses, but once you get like one hit, then that gives you more resources, and then you keep going. So essentially, all you needed is like one good hit, and then from that moment till the rest of the game, you were APMing every single turn.
You're you're
Literally,
you're so
yeah.
right that I should put this in. I saw this and I skipped it, and and
Oh.
you're right. Like why this is good enough for a slide. What am I doing? I agree with you, Shane.
Okay. Anyways, I mean, it doesn't matter. So, friend of a friend was a super, super nutty power level that was completely imbalanced, but in my opinion, it was super fun to play. I keep equating it, for those of you who know that, to the Earth mode, Ultra Rapid Fire mode of League of Legends, where that shit's not balanced, but it's fun. You just pop off the whole fucking time, and that's what Friend of a Friend felt like. Ultra Rapid Fire mode, to just pop off all game, the whole game. Let's go.
So I kind of like don't disagree. However, I had a tournament that week. You know what I mean? So I
You
had
did
an
it.
agenda. I for sure. I needed this gone because it was not balanced, and I was did not want to play a Lobby Legends tournament with friend of a friend did. So I was just like whining all
Get
the,
the stat. Get the stat. Get the
get
stat.
this out every time I could. Like this is not okay. But, just get this thing out of here. Fortunately, they listened or whatever. They saw their stats and they changed it for the tournament. But I was not having it. I heard you, Shady. Like it's fun. I do agree. Like it was definitely a cool card, but definitely not a fun card to play in a tournament environment. That was my big issue with it. So I had to have
Yeah,
it gone.
having tournament be decided on who rolls Brand Friend of a Friend is pretty stupid. So, all right, got that one out there.
Now we have the getting sick during the TwitchCon and then just getting sick. So I had to travel to Europe, and definitely the line. I think the line to get like the
At the
passport
airport.
line. I don't know what it's called, but that line. That one was not like COVID sanctioned. I don't know what to tell you. Like everyone is smushed in.
Everybody just clumped
Yeah,
together.
as well as like TwitchCon and there was also not very like COVID friendly. It's very COVID friendly. I would say. Um,
Very, yeah, facilitating
yeah,
for sure.
I went to the one in NA as well. That one was definitely more COVID conscious, I would say, compared to the one in
You got a
Europe.
lot of backlash, right?
Yeah,
On
it might have been the backlash from the Europe one or whatever, but that one was definitely more. You need this tag, you need the thing. Everyone, you can't bring anything. Well, you could bring your bag or and bring like huge things, and it definitely felt more like spread out compared to like how packed it was in it. I did get sick there. Um, I don't know exactly where, but it could have been a number of places.
Yeah, you suspect that you got it at the airport, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it was did it. But it could also been the karaoke. But
Karaoke was, yeah.
it was,
Basically, if someone in that room had it, yeah. Well, then again, I think did Zixo do karaoke or
no, he
Zixo didn't
didn't,
get it?
and he didn't get it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do remember someone from karaoke not getting it, but that's obviously not like, oh, look, there's this one person didn't get
Well,
sick,
yeah,
right?
I mean, but and people could like just be like immune or very
Yeah,
resistant.
they could be carrying it, right? But then not have symptoms, or at least a very, very,
Yeah.
like not worth reporting. But yeah, whatever.
So
Yeah, it was my first time getting COVID. Well, first and only time getting COVID. So.
same here. Though I don't
Because
leave the
normally,
house, so it's like that's
yeah, exactly. Like, how am I gonna get COVID? So, well, I mean, that's my wife does work in a hospital, so that's
okay.
fair. That could happen. But other than that, I I sit on my desk and I play Battlegrounds. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty easy to avoid. Um,
So
but worth,
yes,
honestly
yeah,
worth.
still worth it. I agree. Like you're
Still worth.
all things considered, still worth it.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. Moving on, we've got our next topic. We had so this is when the quest setup started. We had the reveal season. We had the opportunity to interview two of the game designers for Battlegrounds. I messed up.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but yeah,
I had
okay.
to. I messed up and I put John in there instead of Michael.
Yeah.
And I had to spend like the first like 10 minutes fixing that.
Mitchell, not
Oh,
Michael.
Mitchell, like right,
Yeah,
Mitchell.
it was funny because I saw it and I was like,
That's not right.
I don't think that's John. But I'm not confident enough to just say like, "Hey, Collins, that's the wrong name," because that'd be really awkward if it was John. And I'm just like, because I never really seen him, but I'm just like pretty sure that's not John. I've seen like a picture on, unless he uses a different picture on Twitter, but that'd be kind of weird. But sometimes people do that. It's like a picture that's not them, so like whatever. But yeah, anyways,
As
we got that.
I was adding this back, I was like, "Ooh, I hadn't fixed it yet." I spent like an extra 5 minutes, like let me change the name.
If you're doing it again, that'd be such a good inside joke. Just leave it in. Right?
No,
like,
no, it's not. It's not a good joke because like he would be like, dude, he just doesn't respect it doesn't.
Give
So
a shit.
I had to fix it. I had to fix it for sure.
Respect. Pay respect. Pay your respect.
Yeah, for sure. And, but
no, that was super cool. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked about new quests. This was when we had the new quest system. This is the same system we still have now. And then we also had I mean, we can talk about quests if you want to, right? Earlier you were like, do you like buddies or quests? We didn't really.
Yeah.
Quests.
I think that the single most impactful thing that quests have brought for balance, right, is that they added that insane lever we talked about, where now your armor tier is very relevant. So the higher your armor tier, usually the worse your hero. But because of quests, your quest will be easier. So yeah, that's such a nice way of just saying like, hey, there's no shit hero in the game right now. Like honestly, there's maybe like Omu, because Omu doesn't have armor. Like I think I've played one Omu in the whole quest meta, and I don't see Omus either. But then again, during Lobby Legends, I think it was
there was an Omu player, yeah.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now, and he's a Belgian as well. I'll look at Oliek. Yeah. So Oliek, he was playing. Was it an Omu, or maybe it was someone else? Yeah, whatever. We saw a high level player pick Omu in Lobby Legends and almost taken off with Pirates, but that was one of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that game, right?
Yeah,
that was one of those lobbies where we're like, look, they came in 5th and they have like 4 hoggers just because.
Yeah.
Oh no! I remember Oleg was the one that scammed that game because he had this shitty ass board, but he got the ghost, so he got third.
Oh, with
But
the
yeah,
mech board, yeah.
yeah, some shitty ass board, and then there was essentially the four other players was like big
All
ass
pirates, yeah,
pirates,
or
no house,
elemental or something.
Gallywix. It was a stat fest. Anyways, we don't have to go too far off topic, but essentially saying that if you have to look at like, is Omu the worst hero in the game right now? Like, then you're doing all right. Omu for a very long time was a super top tier hero, and the hero power hasn't changed. So yeah, I love quests. I think they're super fun. They also just really reward you being able to adapt your
Flexible.
game plan. Yeah, you got to be so flexible with quests because what's in your shop, which quest you're getting, like that is super relevant. And a lot of the time you can see what the best path forward is, but it's not a standard one, right? But you could say, I think like earlier today, I was able to really rush a dagger just because of like it was play Ellie's and I like two Sallies, right? So that's insta. And but I didn't have death rattles. So I was like, well, I guess it's still good. And then I rolled a bit, and then I got a selfless on the board, and I made a big selfless and this and that. But that was like so, and that was on my F, right? So it's like so not obvious. Like normally you're like, oh, on my F, I'm just gonna like reform curve, level, get my triple, get my six drop. But the quest meta really rewards people that are able to spot a line that you normally wouldn't take, but makes a ton of sense because of the quest and because of the requirement. Like sometimes you just have a quest where you're like, I'm just gonna roll 6 times this turn because that actually is stronger than buying minions. That's not very common, but that might happen
I do
sometimes.
that a lot. The rolling quest, I like that one.
Yeah. I have like probably the stupidest thing I've seen so far is a sire getting Zerus on turn 2 because he had the roll quest and he just roll, and then on turn 2 roll. 7 rolls get Zerus. That was so dumb. So the sire had Zerus active on turn 2. So yeah, anyways,
Turn
there's
3 he
absolutely
plays like, I don't know how he goes. What's strong turn? Whatever. He plays a full reaper.
oh
Never,
yeah, I
it doesn't
mean you
matter.
can get
It
you can
doesn't
get
really
like
matter.
Orgo would probably be the dumbest thing, but you
Argo,
could get
yeah.
any 6, right? Even like a chef. Like you just make it
Even
like
like
roll
Toxfin, right? Like, any
them.
6. Third
Yeah,
Toxfin.
that is true. That is true. Now that talks then it's gonna say chef I'm okay with. Uther's nutty, right? But anyways, whatever. Uh, long story short, yeah, I really like Quest.
I think quests were a good addition as well. I think it just gives more flexibility besides the hero power option that you only had. Now you have hero power, armor slash quests. So it doesn't mean your game is doomed from the hero selection. Even if you have the hero selection, then you have the armor selection, then you have the quest selection. There's a lot of more options for you to have a chance to win besides just picking the power. So that's something that Buddies didn't really do, right? Buddies was like hero power slash buddies, but they're in the same they're same tied together. So you're still just dependent on the hero because your hero decides the rest of the game. Where here, even if you have the hero, then you still have to see how much armor they have, and then you have to see what quest you have. So you have more chances to recover. Even if you have a bad start, like you have a hero you don't want to play, you can still recover at the quest selection screen. Where before with buddies, if you pick a hero you don't want to play it, you don't have any other way to recover. There's no like, oh, the buddy, the buddy's tied to the hero, so you're not finding another opportunity to recover. You're already done from the hero selection screen. Where with quest you have this extra window of like, oh well, the quest give me something where I can play it out. So that's kind of nice. Definitely, it's kind of reminiscent to like spell meta, where the problem with the spell meta was like the spell meta was too obvious which was good or bad. So like you basically were just like decided like, oh, did I get on the house or not, kind of thing. But this is like a more balanced quest meta, a spell meta where the quests give you more options. Where spell was like you get like a 50% chance to get on the house or not. Definitely like it more. Anyways, definitely a cool addition. We'll probably be talking about it overall. As well as the quest meta, we had the demon rework, which was kind of baked in, but it's still important to talk about. Where they removed like Soul Devourer and Overseer Imp and added Imprisoner 1 and Trickster 2. Overall, I do think the demon rework was like good. I think Trickster the 1 was too problematic, so I think that needed to change. Then Soul Devourer was kind of really strong. Definitely a broken.
I did. I do still play a decent amount of Trickster on tier 2, so I think
Mhm.
that's usually a good sign that it
Good
was a
sign,
bit too
yeah.
good on that one drop, right? And I think the Icky Imp removal, that's an obvious one where that would break a lot of quests.
Mhm.
Can't just summon 2 minions, right? Like that.
Yeah.
I don't want like you just you go for the summon quest every time or have X amount of friendly minions die and just stay on one roll for Icky Imp. I bet they did that and like, yeah, Icky Imp's gotta go.
Yeah, I know. That's why the playtesting got it right. Like you can't
Yeah.
let that be.
They might miss some things or be like, "We're gonna try that," but, they probably played a few games, and be like, "Yeah, Ikem's gotta go." That is pretty dumb, getting too many, like, turn 5 or turn 6 quest completions.
All right, next topic we do have is pretty important one is Battle Pass, right? So Battle Pass was this year, and Battle Pass, tied together is also with the Unchained. So those two are
Yep.
kind of like tied together, and this is when they announced the removal or like the loss of like free to play perks in terms of like you used to be able to buy perks with gold, now you can't. You have to buy with runes. Kind of locked into that. Depending if you want all four heroes. So um, I don't know. I don't really have like too much to say. We've talked about this a lot. I would say the
Yeah.
podcasts.
People can go back and hear our opinions on this. I don't think there's too much to be said. I mean, the game's not dead. I think that's something we can say.
Sure.
Where there were a lot of doomsayers be like, "Oh my god, it's over. They've killed the game," and this is like, I think especially with how easy it is to be free to play during the quest meta, it's
Yeah.
nowhere near as big of a deal as some people made it out to be at
You,
the time.
you definitely do have to see how it's gonna feel after quests are gone.
Absolutely.
That's definitely true. But it's been okay. The price is definitely deterrent for a lot of people. Some people can pay the perk stuff in it, but for others, like 1 cent is too much. They don't care.
Yeah, I think in terms of the price, it's super fair from my opinion when you look at like just how long the pass lasts, where you
Couple
have 4
months.
months. Yeah, 4 months for a season. So it is, of course, the important, like where you're from, right? What is your income and this and that. But like you said, for a lot of people, it's just like 1 cent is too much. Like more from I don't want to pay for the game.
Hmm.
I'm not going to pay for the game. Like me playing the game is the reward. I'm a metric for you, right? It's like I shouldn't be paying you extra money for playing your game. And then that's fair. People can have that take. Um, but I do think if you have like any kind of expendable income, if you're using that on entertainment, then this is a very good deal. Like if you're
Yeah,
playing an amount of
yeah.
battlegrounds, but yeah,
If you do
it's different.
compare it to like the battle pass and like Marvel Snap, it's $10 for a month, basically, for it to pay that pass every. Definitely more expensive.
Oh, right. I mean, there's tons of battle passes in other games, and
Yeah,
there's
some people will
model.
argue which one Fortnite's battle pass, where you can use the currency you make in the pass to pay for the next pass, right? That's where the
Mhm.
counter are. But I think that's such a niche comparison where the game is so big and large where they can afford to do that. Where most games can't do that type of system.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think this was not the first choice, right? I think we did obviously
yeah.
tackle that where they tried a lot with cosmetics, but due to the nature of the game, cosmetics were just not as appealing. I'd say the two big factors there is, well, number one, a lot of the hero dependent stuff. you might not see that hero that week. You
Yeah.
might not see that hero. If you're a casual player, you might not see that hero that month, you know? Like, that sucks, right? Buying a skin for a hero, and then you play, like, your 2 games per day, and you don't see the hero that month. Yeah, fuck that, right? Like,
Yeah.
why did I just buy a skin? And the other one is you're not working with these, like, 3D models or so. You just have your image of your hero. It's kinda bland. Compare that to some like insane League of Legends skin in the actual game where you have your skills and your skills get like a different animation on them, and it's just yeah, it's like you like that. And then of course you can choose to play every game with the same hero or champion or whatever. So yeah, it's just very different the options they had or how they handled the cosmetics. Like obviously it would be very difficult to do a lot better than what they did, but yeah, I mean, you can blame the customer for that, right? Like, if it's not appealing, it's not appealing, and apparently, it was not appealing enough to support the game. So that's essentially what it comes down to, like where they weren't making enough to justify developing battlegrounds, and yeah, it sucks that you have to pay them, but I mean, I would definitely prefer to pay than to go find a different game.
Fair enough. And then the Runestone chain is like, I don't know. This one's less, I guess, irrelevant to me, but that might be. I don't really use them.
Yeah, I don't use them
I
either. Just
don't
I
use
mean,
them. So
they have the option to buy the pass with just
with
cash, right?
yeah,
So
they
yeah.
did.
That's just a lot easier. So I haven't bothered with Rinstones, I'll
Yeah,
be honest. Yeah.
I do think eventually that might be gone, but then you would just buy the equivalent in Runestone. I don't know. This one, I'm not still diving deep. We'll probably talk about it more next year as it becomes more relevant. But right now, like I haven't had to see it in my experience, so it's
Oh,
hard to.
you can purchase the next pass with money as well. You don't need Rinstones. You can already pre-purchase.
Yeah, I'm talking about next year. Maybe that won't be this case. Like that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you meant next season. So you mean somewhere in next year. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and
fair.
somewhere next year it might not be the same, and then I'll have more opinions. Right now, I don't have to deal with this at all, so I haven't really bothered. I have an opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
All right. We're getting near it. We're getting near the dirt. We
Uh,
got the
sleep
esporter
sleep
leagues.
sleep is close. Okay, that's good.
So this one is we did have a little event where we coached some people for a month, and then we had a little tournament. I had good fun with it. I definitely think for me it was a lot of work because I made long PowerPoints. I had a script essentially, so I spent a lot of time working at it. But overall, like I do think it was good fun. I actually learned a lot, and it was cool talking to people and like.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun doing this. I'd say for me the most fun was VOD review, where I that's just fun for me.
Mm.
So I like looking at battlegrounds and then talking about it. Obviously, the coaching is also fun. It's it's such a interesting thing to have these niche thoughts about the game and then to share them with people who are actually like excited to hear them. It's always, like, oh, that's what I wanted to say earlier with TwitchCon. What I wanted to say is like you're at a party and you're like, man, I just want to talk about BGs. And you're like, oh, wait, everyone else here wants to talk about BGs. That's great. I don't have to pretend like I don't want to talk about BGs. So that's kind of what it feels like in the coaching as well. It's just like, yeah, I can just talk about selfless positioning and whether we want to Uther that shit or this or that. So yeah, that was super fun for me. Just diving into the nitty gritty, but then also doing some big picture stuff. And yeah, in the VOD review, then obviously we can see it in practice and see where it went well, where it didn't go right. Yeah, super fun. I had a good time. Collins won.
That's a
That
good
one.
point, actually. I did win that.
Collins
So the tournament was between um
students.
the students. Yeah, yeah. My student won the whole tournament. Yeah.
Congratulations,
And
Collins.
also this student was the one that worked the hardest. Actually, went to
You
all
love
of the sessions,
yeah.
listened, participated. I was like this is the student that's gonna win if like I was actually rooting for the student at the beginning of the tournament, and he did the best. I was like, yes, he learned. So I was pretty hyped about that. Yeah, but yeah, I did win.
No, I mean, you that's what you want, right? You
Yeah,
want the
you do.
person that puts in the work, that puts in the effort. You want that person to do well. So yeah, I would have the same feeling. Like for me, there was almost like a pretty equal. There was one person that essentially bought and never showed. But the rest like showed pretty equal. So like they showed same and similar interest. And yeah.
There was definitely a bias. I was like, this is the one.
Yeah, some slackers.
I had a
Okay.
Neo. he's, he's the one, chat.
All right, that's good.
There wasn't any slackers, but he went above and beyond. Is what I'm saying. Like, there wasn't any slackers. Everyone went to
Mm.
this guy went to everything. Like, he never missed anything. That's why.
No, I mean that's sort of the. I would say that's the baseline, right? Showing up. But I hear you. So I mean, okay, that's my definition of a slacker. If you're not showing up, right?
Well, he also like had like comments afterwards, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
like he did it. He went about. That's what I'm saying. Like he is the.
But I was just replying to your. He showed up to everything. I'm just like, well, that's kind of
Well,
the base.
well,
Collins.
well. Some of the people didn't show up to every single class.
I know, and that's why I said that's the
They're
obviously.
instantly a slacker, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think not showing up to class. I think that's the baseline. I
Dude,
think showing up.
I'd be a slacker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
But
don't
you
know
are a
about this
slacker
one.
sometimes, Collins. Sometimes you are a slacker.
I'm
If I was
here.
running some WoW guild with you or whatever, I'd be like, Colin's a fucking slacker. Right? He
But
hasn't done
he's
his
too
shit
good
yet.
to remove.
We can't throw him, like, because when he tries, he's actually winning. Alright. These damn skilled lazy players. What
I'm
can you do?
officially lazy. I know what I needed.
No. That's yeah. Anyway, was a fun experience. Definitely open to doing that again at some point.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Next thing we have is a pretty big one. Blizzard games being suspended in China. So this definitely can ripple into like Lobby Legends and just like competitive games in Assassins, but the game services are suspended at January 23. So don't know how this is really going to um, showcase like next year, but it's definitely going to affect things. Like the Lobby Legends format can't be the same anymore as a standard because you were bringing 4 from China minimum, well maximum as well, but 4 from China was in there, so that's gonna have to
Yeah.
change. So the whole format will have to adjust in some way because it's definitely a pretty big deal. Pretty sad for the brothers in China. Yeah, a lot of people like for some like the streamers that's their livelihood and stuff like that. It's gonna be a lot more difficult for them to participate and things like that. And it's pretty rough, but hopefully they can find a way to get a reinstall. Definitely a sad moment in time for the player base over there, and a lot of the best players uh, came from there, showcased some strategies and things like that. So it's always sad to lose such a important part of the player.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's gonna work. Where if China players are eligible to qualify through playing on different regions, because I don't know this 100%, but currently on the NA leaderboard, rank 3 is called Moji, and I seem to recall Beater saying like that he came from like the China server, just in a few weeks' time getting 17K, which is pretty ridiculous. Like, but that could be a good example of if you're playing at a very, very high level and then suddenly you get like this more like relaxed, oh, everybody's chilling because it's not a qualifying month, and maybe the level is lower, right, overall, if we assume that the China ladder is more harsh. It'd be pretty crazy to see some Chinese players making that switch and
Trek.
saying,
The Trek.
let me, yeah, I was gonna say trick, honestly, but I was like,
Okay.
maybe a little weird, but I like that you said it. So yeah, a trek. They made the trek over to the NA
I know what you're
servers.
gonna say, Shay.
That's excellent. I love it. I love it. So that could mean that that's going to be um, quite a difficult. Assuming that Lobby Legends is going to be similar qualifying system, of course, that could mean some fewer spots, right? If you have some really
Means I'm
strong.
playing on Europe next year.
Yeah, welcome, Collins.
Welcome.
I'll take you in. We'll take you in.
Thank you.
Uh, so yeah, my point here essentially is they can obviously connect right through various means. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult from China, but they have the means to do that if you really, really want to. But will it be official, right? Will they actually be able to? Because you need to actually prove that you're a person, you know, if you want to qualify, if you want to play in the tournament. Right. So are Chinese players going to be eligible? Is it just, oh, we don't have it in your region? Or are we just going to say, sorry, you're a Chinese player, you won't be able to qualify for Lobby Legends? That's my question. And that'll be be quite, because that'll depend how many Chinese players will start playing on
NA. Well, we don't have the answer to that, and I'm not going to speculate. I don't think I.
No, that's fair. I don't know where it was going with that, other than like, yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. All right.
We don't know.
Fair enough. And speaking of Lobby Legends, we do have the note that the 2023 details are still being finalized. So they did say that December ladders will not count, but January will. So hopefully, starting January, we can start climbing and hoping the reset is on the 1st. Right, like, you know, you don't want to wait till like the 5th or something before the reset happens. But
I'd be very surprised if it's the 1st, because that's just after New Year's, right?
It's usually the Tuesday of
yeah. My
so
assumption is the earliest. Yeah, my earliest assumption would be the 3rd, which is still
which was fine.
Yeah, because we also assume that there's a large patch, right? The reset, so we're speculating on a new minion type, because it's kind of been like buddies and nagas and then quests, and like now it's time for the other type, right? Like if they want to follow that rhythm, if it's like new mechanic, new type, new mechanic, new type, if they're following that rhythm, then I guess
do you have a guess?
Well, with Death Knight being a thing, the big speculation is undead, right? Where we're gonna get undeads in battlegrounds.
I think that's the logical speculation. But I've been holding out hope for totems ever since. I've been holding out hope. Like, when are they adding the totem minion type? I want to see it.
Death Knight totems. Yep.
Death Knight. Another thing they've talked about is dual class. That's another a possibility where it's like, oh, one minion is 2 types or something like that. You know.
No? Yeah, but you'd need more than that, right? You'd need some cross synergy, because like
I mean they would have new minions. They would have new minions, right? Like that synergize us, I assume. Like,
yeah, so that's like
a demon Ellie that eats him. A dragon mech that has divine shield. Crazy. Blah blah blah. But those, I think undead is the most likely option, and then other than that, I don't know. Then it's whatever. I have no idea. But I'm hoping for totems. Put my criterion. Like, give me some totems. But
I don't care for totems at all.
What, the totem meta? Can you imagine? It's totem meta. Let's play all the totems. The totem wins.
So you get a bunch of 0 attack units.
But they buff each other, so they're now like 20 attack go. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we've got the last Lobby Legend of the day. So this is like the final topic, just like the final Lobby Legends, and just like Lobby Legends in particular. It's been a good season. This one is very lacking in the NA players. I do remember that notification. So definitely needs to step up from NA. Maybe with I was
gonna say, don't worry, you're gonna get some Chinese players playing for an egg soon enough, Collins.
Well, they count. if they make it in NA, they're NA residents. We take them in. I'll start. We go for that one. So I'm fine with
That's
that.
your strategy in other sports as well, right?
It's
Like,
it, it's
hey,
work.
he's American now, baby.
It's
Let's
working
go.
for us. The only way we get a chance. I'm down. But yeah, overall, happy with Lobby Legends. Even though I didn't make every single one, that was my goal, copium.
I too did not make every single one, Colin. Don't worry, man. Don't. Unlucky.
Unlucky, yeah. But one year we'll get I'll get that achievement. Whew, copium. Anyways, but yeah, overall, it's been a good year, I think, in terms of BGs. A lot of good stuff there. Hopefully next year is just as good. Really, I mean, the only thing that's like I'm really hoping for is just continuation of Lobby Legends and participating in that, and then maybe a LAN tournament would be great. Yeah, I'll be pretty as long as I win. Another invitationals also, maybe like a global one where I win first place. That I'm due for another one of those. Other than that, it's fine. How about you, City? Overall thoughts on the year?
Yeah, I mean, the same as I said at the start. It's easy to start taking this for granted and to just make this your new baseline, but just compared to where we were a year ago, right? Uh, so good. I'd say very, very grateful for the direction the competitive scene has taken, or the scene in general, where it's become more competitive. And yeah, just echoing the statement that it'd be great if it could be as good, and obviously it'd be amazing if it could be even better. Where we did talk about some pointers of the qualifiers, etc. So yeah, overall, just very grateful, very happy with what we've had so far. It's been a very good year for me as well.
Sounds great. All right. Well, that was a long one. Not the longest though, but definitely a
No,
long one for not a non-patch related one. I would say, right?
well, you have this nice PowerPoint prepared. How could I refuse?
Yeah,
Time
I did more effort than I normally do for these
to.
kind of. But that will be our ending topic for today. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this reminisce to 2022. Hopefully, 23 is fantastic as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the year. Hope you have a fantastic rest of the year. We'll see you in 2023 and have a wonderful rest of the day.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.